Good afternoon again. It's a great honor and privilege to be here, be part of this particular conference here, and I look forward for an interactive session here. While my presentation comes up here, I'm going to talk about two topics here which are very close to my heart. The first one is investments in water, which is primarily talking about technology, which is very close to my heart, being in the technology field for over 28 years. The second one is good governance, which is very much important. Technology and regulations, policies goes together. So we talk about a little bit about some of our ideas and recommendations around the policies and the associated things. Since the time is essence here and we have less time, I just want to make sure that I have a lot of slides here. I want to rush through a little bit here. The very first thing is we have a significant shortage of water. We talked about it in the before sessions also. The second one is in terms of quality of water, which is definitely not up to the standards. And the third one, which is even more important, is the extent of reuse or treatment of the water that we do in our country is so less compared to any other country. So that puts a lot more pressure on everybody. And when we look at how this challenge is handled by the industry, if you take all our industries, the three risks that they have to handle because of the shortage of water or poor quality of water. One is definitely if they don't get enough water, they will not be able to run their factory, they will not be able to expand, progress, grow, right? At the same time, the regulations and other things will also put them in pressure because there will be a limit on amount of water that is available and associated challenges. Of course, the environment risk in terms of the discharge norms and other things can also create challenges to them. So considering these challenges that the industry is facing today, at SUEZ Water Technologies, we have many technologies to offer, many solutions to offer to those industries. There are many here on this slide. I'm not going through that. I will briefly talk about 3 or 4 which are very important. The first one is tough to treat water. That means the industry effluents which are high level of treatment is required. That is one area of focus. The second one is UPW, which is ultra pure water for many segments like semiconductor industry or solar industry, etc. That is important as well. And then you have the zero liquid discharge systems, which can help us to discharge, prevent us from discharging the pollution into the other water bodies around the factories. These are the 3 major things that help industry in a big way. Coming to what we provide as a company, SUEZ Water Technologies, is not only we understand the industry unique needs, but also we have integrated solutions. And we have a significant presence in India. We have more than 1,500 people working in technology, engineering, manufacturing, services, etc., to support these needs the industry has. What I have here is a technology roadmap. I mentioned, I'm a technologist. I love to talk about the technology here. The technology roadmap, in terms of, if you see the x-axis, where we are talking about percentage of recovery, you want a higher percentage of recovery. That means you want to depend less on the other water resources. You need to use much more advanced technologies, and you have those technologies listed here, which are a short list of technologies. But you have one higher level of recovery. The second one also the complexity of the water, right? The quality of the water output that you want and the quality of the water, that input that you are getting. Based on that, we do have all the technologies that are available which can meet the industry needs. It's all about the CapEx and OpEx that we need to work together. But in terms of technology roadmap, we are there to support the industry, and we continue to invest significantly within our organization to support that. A lot of investments are happening within our country, India, as well. One of the important things that we are driving here, all these technologies should not only help in solving the water problem, but in a most efficient way. The recovery should be high, the footprint need to be low, and the industry should get benefited, not just for today, tomorrow, but in a sustainable manner. That is what is going to be the big change here. And in terms of doing that, we are not just providing the technologies or solutions, but we have a significant global manufacturing presence. I'm happy to share that we have 3 factories in India, part of the Make in India initiative, And the factory that we have in near Bangalore, Hoskote, is one of the largest factories where we rolled more than 2.5 lakhs of RO elements. In terms of how these technologies are going to be applied to the specific needs of the industry here, so you can see here there are several products that you see on the extreme left side. What is important for you to look at is on the right hand side, where there are two types of industry needs, which is primarily the treatment of the water for their application and use. The other one is controlling the discharge and ensuring that we can able to reuse a lot of water that is coming out of the industries. These are the two main focus areas. With reference to that, I want to talk about four specific problems that we are addressing here. The first one is water recycle. That means the water that is coming out of the industry process, how do you recycle in a best possible way? How do you minimize the input water, right? The fresh water that industry needs is a burden on municipalities and many other places. So with the help of desalination and other technologies, we can able to supply the input water that is going to help the industries so that they become self-reliant. Then you have a zero liquid discharge, which is primarily the processed water. You're not going to let it go to the neighboring lakes and rivers and etc. But actually, you kind of rework through the zero liquid discharge system. And then last but not least is the STPs, the quality of the output of the STPs, which can be much high, that can be used for industries instead of fresh water. So with reference to this, we have a few case studies. Again, I am not going into the depth here, but many of our customers have really used our technologies to bring down their dependency on the fresh water, and in turn helping that water redirected, repurposed to the drinking purposes for hundreds and thousands of families, which is very important for us because this allows the conflict between water supply to the drinking purpose and as well as for the industries can be resolved, and at the same time enable industries to grow and prosper. That is a big advantage that you see here. With reference to the governance piece of that, we as a global company, we see what is happening across the world. We have a good understanding on the needs and regulations and policies and the best practices that are happening across the world. Based on those best practices, based on the specific needs of the country, we have come up with a white paper a couple of years ago focusing on four areas: the education, removing the barriers, incentives, and mandates and regulation. These are the four focus areas which we have come across, which we have arrived at in terms of what need to be done in terms of policy changes so that we can be efficient and drive this water reuse and recycle in a most effective way. The very first one is on education. We heard in the previous session also that every person, from all the way from education institution to the industries, if they become more aware of the importance of the water challenges and the need for reuse, we are going to see a drastic change, and that's where the education comes into picture. And as a company, we are doing a lot of technical conferences, seminars, webinars, and other means to spread the message, enable people to know the technologies available and solutions that are available so that they can apply those solutions and can able to effectively reuse the water. In terms of the barriers, I think removing the barriers is very important. And if you take the example, like if you have a rule which drives, if you have a society, and then say every water that you use in the society, whether you use it for plantation, whether you use it for drinking, whether you use it for toilets, etc., need to be at the same quality. You are necessarily using the fresh water and not able to use the recycle, right? So if you can able to put the rules and regulations around based on nature of the use, if you have different standards, that can drive a significant amount of water reuse, and that's what we are advocating here, that is an important. Similarly, infrastructure to collect the sewage and other things so that the common STPs can be run and improvements can be done. Similarly, we lose a lot of water in the distribution. We lose a lot of efficiencies in our systems having a digital technologies, like we are investing in a lot of artificial intelligence and digital technologies and machine learning so that we can keep a tab on the usage of the water and leaks and other things so that we can able to control that in an efficient way. The third one, which is very important, is all about the incentives and PPP type of mechanism. I come from a transportation industry. the public-private partnership has immensely helped in our country. Both diesel electric and pure electric locomotives were supplied by the private parties to the Indian Railways in a most efficient way. And that those projects have been successful. The investment has come from private industry and the government could able to partner with them. I think that type of systems have to come more in water side also. Similarly, we as a company, we not only bring the technology, but we are investing in BOO models, which is build, own, operate model, where the water is being sold to the industries and the investments are done by the companies like us is also going to be a big benefit. And then also, like we have seen in other industries like power, energy, and other places where the incentive subsidies, tax breaks has immensely helped in adopting new technologies, adapting technologies of, that can bring down the pollution and sustenance, etc. Similar approach has to come in this industry also, in terms so that the water, the recycled water, the treated water pricing comes closer to the potable water, that fresh water that is being supplied. Once you get that equation, then it becomes a lot more easier for adaptation. Of course, the last one is the mandate, regulation, and standards, which is very important. We heard again in the previous session that there is a lot of initiatives happening around the policy framework, etc. We look forward to see how it is going to be. But one example I want to give here is, if you see zero liquid discharge systems, India has actually taken a lot more steps in that direction. There are many industries have come forward to already adopt the zero liquid discharge system than many other developed countries, which is really a good benchmark. And a mandate around that from the government and the policy makers can immensely help, because we all know that the discharge from the industries can cause significant problem to our communities and our water reserves. That's very important here. Similarly, if you know what we have seen in Mumbai, where Honorable Supreme Court has come forward and instructed the municipalities to treat the water, the sewage water that they are dumping into the sea, has to be treated to the highest level of quality. That is immensely going to help in the future days. And a similar approach has to be taken by the more municipalities, and a drive from the government and the policy makers can make a huge difference here. So these are the 4 areas of focus for us that we think the policy change can bring in better governance. Like I said, just to summarize here, I think the technology exists for the problems we have. I think there are solutions available. There are companies like us, we are invested and we're interested to solve the problems. A right set of governance and policies can make this whole adaptation accelerated in the best possible way. Thank you very much.